Hello and welcome to another Dragonstorm Studios video, and today I'm going to reveal for you and then afterwards show you how I drew a picture of Yorion Sky Nomad. And for those of you who don't know, Yorion Sky Nomad is a legendary creature from the Magic the Gathering game, an expansion from Ikoria in 2020. And he is a fantastic looking creature, he is a fantastic card, but I realized horribly the other day that I probably will never play that deck in paper in Standard because we are now in March 2021. There's been a global pandemic that's been going on for about a year now, if you're watching this in the distant future. And I was kind of sad because I don't think I'll ever actually play that deck in Standard for real. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon or so, and I just happened to log on at that point and see a new CGB video, and he was playing Yorion and just had some amazing epic games with it, and it made me happy. And I felt the need at that point to sit down and draw. So I took to my sketchbook and I discovered that the artist who illustrated the card, Stephen Belladin, and I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, did a really smart thing. He portrayed Yorion from a distance. You can't see a lot of fine detail because snakes are scary, and Yorion is a bird serpent. Snakes, why did it have to be snakes? So my initial sketches were terrifying. I tried to make him less terrifying in my drawing. I'm not sure if I succeeded, but again, the point of this opening is to show or to tell you that Yorion, the drawing, came from a place of love, not hate. And so here it is, Yorion Sky Nomad with CGB flying into epic battle. And I am so happy with how it turned out. Mostly the face is a little bit odd. It kind of looks a little bit like a Pokemon, but I tried to balance the terrifying aspects of snakes with the cute. I'm not sure if I succeeded. You can let me know in the comments what you think. But I must say that my initial sketches were much more nightmare inducing. So there's that. So thank you so much for watching that introduction. If you want to see the video and me actually draw this part and parcel piecemeal, please feel free to stick around. Otherwise, thanks for watching. All right, so we're going to begin our drawing of CGB and Yorion by just starting with basic shapes. And I'm going to have Yorion's head over here. And you'll notice I'm drawing on much bigger paper. The angle is a bit different than usual. That's only because I found that in my sketchbook, which is a little on the small side, 9 inches by 12 inches, I couldn't get Yorion to look good and CGB to be in perspective with Yorion because he's riding on his back. And it just didn't work out. I wasn't happy with the shapes. I wasn't happy with basically anything at all in the picture. It was pretty bad. So I'm gonna go with something larger, and although it is a bit awkward to see because it's at an angle and I've got the sun coming in, and my setup is not ideal for this size paper. If you're curious, it is 11 by 17, so quite a bit bigger than what I had beforehand. But you know, we'll make it work. We'll figure something out. So I've got a picture of a snake because Yorion is a snake bird serpent. I think he's a bird serpent, and we're gonna make it work from there. Actually, kind of like this curve better. And I mean, I think snakes are rightly so rather terrifying to a lot of people. So we're gonna make it snake-like. I've got a picture to work from, but I'm going to definitely modify it to make it more. Well, I don't think Yorion is cute per se, but I think he's fairly, fairly tame compared to some of the nightmare fuel that's out there. So we'll kind of work around that as best we can. So I'm liking that shape so far. We're gonna have, now because Yorion's got a very graceful neck, but then his wings come very quickly from the body. I'm gonna have CGB kind of riding the neck of Yorion up here. He's gonna be very close. And that way I mean, from a logistical point of view, if he were to be wielding a weapon or commanding his armies from the back of Yorion, he wouldn't want the wings in the way. If the wings got, like, if Yorion's flapping his wings, then you know what I'm saying? I know what I'm saying. I think this would make more sense. This would be the place for CGB to best enact his control magic, and he's going to be wearing his magic dojo headband as well, with the symbols on either side and his hair kind of coming up from there. And this is pretty much how I start all of my drawings. He's going to be gesturing epically as well, kind of like Napoleon upon his horse while crossing the Alps, looking all majestic. Now, I'll get a picture of a hand and actually put some more work into it a little later. He's probably going to be looking up at him after all, so kind of be like this. And maybe he's holding the reins. Does Yorion have reins? Would Yorion have a saddle? I actually have to. These are the questions which keep me up at night. I think Yorion being kind of in the way will help hide that. And then we'll have him kind of being all sky noodly over here. And maybe we'll have CGB's leg. Okay, that's looking all right. I'm gonna have to adjust here and there, but you kind of get the idea of how I start the drawing anyways. And then we're back with part 2. I do feel as if I went a little bit overboard with the drawing. Normally I would stop once it looked like a coloring book, but I was really on a roll and I just kept going with it. I like the way CGB looks at the moment. He's looking pretty cool there with his magic dojo thing going on. I think I may have leaned a little bit heavily into the serpent part of Yorion, and he's looking a little bit scary there. I'm gonna have to scale maybe back a little bit. He's a bird serpent, not a serpent. Quetzalcoatl, that wonderful Mesoamerican god. So we'll see. I'll keep working at it, but I think it's got some potential. All right, so we have some textures on there now, and I hope anyways that Yorion is looking a little bit less scary. I tried to tread that balance between cute and scary, and it's a snake. I mean, it's a snake. There's not much you can do. I think it looks a bit more salamander-ish at the moment, but I think that's okay. So although tedious, this process I think is probably the one that makes the biggest difference in making the picture look good, and that's just adding the scales. Certainly, like I said, it can be a frustrating process, but at the same time, it also is very rewarding. You might notice as well that I have decided ahead of time to add the shadows in, and that just saves me a little bit of the time required to add in these details because some of them won't be seen in the shadows. I think it would be an awful waste of time if I was to draw in the scales and then just cover them up with the shading afterwards. So that's just one little trick or strategy to make sure that you're using your time as wisely as possible while still making an effective drawing and putting in the work to make it look good. And with the shading in place, I'm now going to take my blending stomp and just go over all of that shading, smudging it, blending it, making it look a little more professional. The base of graphite kind of makes the drawing look worse before it looks better, but I think it is worth doing just because it does give you a bit more to work with when it comes to adding in all the shading there. So I'm going to work through that, being aware of my light source. Light's coming from above, as you can see from the eye, from all of the reflections and shading here and there, and even the edges of where the scales are. I know I've put a lot of work on those scales. I know that some of that detail is going to get smudged and lost, but here I think it's worth it because you can still kind of make out the scales. You can still see that they're there, although the blending stomp does certainly make them a little bit less distinct. But it's coming along really nicely, and I think that now that the shading is on there and now that there's more dark in the rest of the picture, the head doesn't look quite so egregious and so scary looking. So I'm hoping that that trend will continue, and in the end it won't look quite as horrifying, and I'm hoping that I won't get a lot of dislikes because of the treatment of Yorion here, which was not meant to be horrible or offensive or anything. I do think Yorion's fantastic. All right, a couple of clouds in the background, and you should end up with what you see at the beginning of the video. So I hope you found that useful, helpful, interesting, horrifying, all sorts of things. Please feel free to like, share, subscribe if you enjoy the content, and have yourselves a fantastic day.